Good morning. Almost 150 Australians have been flown out of Vanuatu after Tuesday's deadly earthquake. Foreign editor Hugh Whitfeld joins us now. Hugh, the Royal Australian Air Force has helped bring them home.
Angie, that's right. Good morning. Two RAAF aircraft have transported 148 Australians to Queensland's Amberley Air Base overnight, with more people to be brought back to Brisbane in the coming hours. There's no other way out of Vanuatu right now, with commercial flights from Port Vila still suspended. It follows the arrival on the ground of Australian search and rescue teams, doctors, nurses and police officers who've been deployed to the earthquake-ravaged nation. Communications remain a big problem on the ground there, and health services are said to be overwhelmed trying to treat the 200 injured. The death toll remains at 14, but it is expected to rise as those experts get on the ground to sift through the damage, particularly in the capital, searching for survivors. We've heard plenty of stories of close calls during the earthquake and the resulting aftershocks, and there are real concerns right now about shortages of medical supplies, food and water. Little doubt there will be a long road to recovery for the people of Vanuatu.
Devastating scenes there. Thank you, Hugh. The last Australian woman involved in a Fiji cocktail poisoning scare has landed on the Gold Coast before being transferred to the Tweed Valley Hospital last night. Her daughter joined her on the flight, as Tamara Bowe reports.
Well, after a really tough couple of days, it appears that the 49-year-old mum is finally on the road to recovery. A real sense of relief yesterday when she finally touched down on home soil. With her daughter alongside her, she was on board that Medivac flight that arrived into the Gold Coast airport at 8 o'clock last night. They were then brought here to the Tweed Valley Hospital, where their recovery will continue. On Saturday, the 49-year-old and 6 others, including her daughter, were poisoned when they ingested a toxic substance found in cocktails they were drinking at a 5-star hotel in Fiji. That resulted in them becoming seriously ill. They were taken to hospital, and the 49-year-old spent 4 nights in intensive care. The final Australian to come home. She was finally cleared and able to board that flight out of Fiji yesterday. This was initially thought to be a case of methanol poisoning, but now authorities in Fiji say they've conducted further testing, and the toxicology reports show no signs of methanol were found in any of the ingredients that were used to make that cocktail. So there you go. At this stage, they have been able to rule out the possibility of alcohol poisoning.
A gunman is on the run after a man was shot in Melbourne's north. Ainsley Kosh is at the scene in Pascoe Vale South. Ainsley, a blood-splattered car will be critical evidence.
Yeah, it will be, Angie. That silver BMW was located here at the scene on Moreland Road last night with blood stains on it. It was towed and now will be forensically examined by police and will hopefully help to identify those people responsible. Multiple witnesses called emergency services just before 10 last night after hearing an argument and then the sound of gunshots. The victim, he actually took himself to hospital, where he's now receiving treatment for non-life-threatening injuries. Now, the exact circumstances of this shooting are unclear, but locals say this latest act of violence has left the entire community shaken. Take a listen.
There was a small smash of a car there, she could hear it. I'm not sure how much later, but then there was shots, either 2 or 3 shots.
But I know that most of the time with things like this, that if you're not involved, you won't be involved. But the fact that he's still out there is a worry, yeah.
Scary. I don't know what's going on or what neighbourhood I live in. Yeah.
Detectives have been on the scene this morning, scouring the area for clues as to what exactly has occurred here. So hopefully they will receive some answers. That gunman is still on the run, so the investigation is very much still in the early stages. Angie.
Thanks very much, Ainsley. Queensland police are searching for a gunman in Brisbane's north. Police were called to a property in Deagon just after midnight following reports of a home invasion. The offender fired at the residents when they confronted the intruder before making an escape. Luckily, nobody was hurt. Christmas has come early for millions of Australians who woke up to a present in their bank accounts. The ATO has issued refunds to HECS debts after the federal government wiped $3 billion in student loans, changing indexation. Those who paid off their debts today received a credit averaging $400. Festival goers in New South Wales will now have free access to pill testing in a 12-month trial beginning next year. Advocates say it will save lives during the summer festival season, as Serena Andaloro reports.
Well, this 12-month trial will start in early February, and we understand it will cover 12 music festivals. It will work like this. Festival goers will be able to have their party pills tested by health officials for purity, potency and contaminants. It will be anonymous and free to access, but it costs New South Wales taxpayers just over $1 million.
Ultimately, our hope is that this trial saves lives. I want to make it clear that there's no safe way to do drugs in New South Wales, and drug use in the state is still illegal.
The announcement comes, of course, after the government hosted a drug summit where other ideas like decriminalisation were discussed. 7 News broke this story last week. At the time, the New South Wales Health Minister was adamant he wanted to listen to the recommendations of that summit before making this announcement, and we're told it's based on interim advice. Now, drug possession is of course illegal, but the trial will grant an amnesty or a loophole for people looking to check their drugs for personal use. People supplying drugs are not included in that. Police will not conduct patrols around the area where pill testing takes place. The Premier himself has been sceptical in the past that pill testing actually reduces harm.
It shouldn't be read that this trial is permanent or a permanent change in New South Wales. We will genuinely look independently at how this rolls out over the summer period.
New South Wales Opposition Leader Mark Speakman says there's no safe way to take drugs and no evidence. Pill testing saves lives, but drug advocates have been calling for this for years to put an end to festival deaths.
Police are searching for teenagers involved in a shocking brawl in a busy Adelaide shopping centre. As Hayden Nelson reports, Christmas shoppers were left terrified.
Well, the violence erupted in the city's main shopping strip when the melee broke out between two groups right in the middle of the Christmas lunchtime shopping rush. There were fists of fury punching and kicking in the Beehive corner of Rundle Mall. A woman seen on camera ushering two young children away, and by the time police officers arrived, the group had dispersed. But 7 News cameras found one of the suspects waiting outside the nearby youth court. He was wearing the same distinctive tracksuit and waiting for a 14-year-old friend who cannot be identified, who was arrested and charged over this brawl in the same mall in October, which saw rival gang members swing machetes at each other. This happened in an area where police have additional powers to search people for weapons and remove them if they deem them suspicious.